Ever felt like life keeps answering questions you never meant to ask? You try to attract ease, but only chaos shows up. You try to project confidence, yet every situation mirrors your doubt. It's almost as if reality hears the words you don't say, the quiet frequencies beneath your surface. That's not imagination, it's communication. Reality is a feedback loop written in light, constantly translating your inner state into external form. Every delay, coincidence, argument, or breakthrough, all of it is part of a dialogue most people never realize they're having. The problem is, we keep speaking the wrong language. We visualize harder, repeat affirmations, force belief, but the field doesn't respond to performance. It responds to pattern. The light codex, the real language of creation, isn't made of words. It's made of vibration. Imagine the universe as a vast mirror of energy. You can't trick it with what you say, it reflects what you are. Every flicker of self-doubt, every wave of gratitude, every hidden belief forms a signal, a pulse, that the mirror instantly reflects as circumstance. That's why someone can say I'm abundant while still transmitting scarcity, and life obeys the transmission, not the declaration. When you start decoding this language, everything changes. You stop chasing and start translating your emotions, your posture, your thought patterns into coherence. You begin to read what life has been whispering through timing, friction, and flow. Because here's the secret. Reality has never ignored you. It's been answering fluently, waiting for you to hear. And once you learn to read when and respond when in its language, you stop being at the mercy of life's patterns and start writing them. Let's strip away the mystery for a second. What actually happens when reality responds? What's the mechanism behind the mirror? At its core, it's the observer effect, the bridge between consciousness and creation. In quantum physics, the act of observation doesn't just record reality, it influences it. But here's where most people misinterpret it. Observation isn't about looking at something with your eyes. It's about the state of awareness you bring to what you see. Every moment your body is broadcasting a signal, not metaphorically, but electromagnetically. Your heart emits measurable waves that sync with your brain patterns, forming a coherent or incoherent field around you. When that field is coherent, when what you think, feel, and believe are in harmony, your signal becomes legible to the fabric of reality. You're speaking the language fluently. But when your thoughts say, I trust, while your body says, I'm afraid, the mirror can't translate the mixed message. It shows you static, delays, resistance, confusion. That's the core mechanism. Reality mirrors coherence. Think of it like tuning an instrument. When one string is slightly off, the entire sound feels wrong. You might not even know why, but you feel the dissonance. The universe feels it too. It doesn't punish you. It simply plays back the signal you send. The clearer your vibration, the clearer the reflection. And this is where embodiment comes in, because your frequency isn't set by your words or visualizations. It's set by your nervous system. You can't think your way into coherence while your body is bracing for threat. Your signal won't stabilize until your system feels safe enough to open, to believe, to allow. That's why sometimes, after you finally give up, when you release the grip, exhale, and stop trying, everything starts aligning. You didn't lose your manifestation, you just stopped jamming the signal. So decoding the light codex isn't about learning a mystical chant or new affirmation. It's about regulating the very instrument through which your consciousness plays, your body, breath, and awareness. When those three are in tune, the mirror brightens. Life starts reflecting back your true rhythm. But there's one illusion that keeps people from ever reaching that harmony, a myth that makes them chase endlessly without ever realizing they're standing in front of the mirror the whole time. And once we expose it, the entire structure of how you make things happen will never look the same again. Here's the myth that keeps almost everyone trapped. That manifestation is something you do. That if you visualize harder, feel it stronger, or repeat the right affirmations, reality will eventually give in. But the field doesn't work like a vending machine. You don't insert effort and wait for reward. You're not commanding the mirror, you're calibrating it. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Picture this. You're waiting for a text from someone important. Maybe a job offer. Maybe someone you love. You've done everything right. Visualize them reaching out. Repeated. I'm confident. I'm magnetic. You even check your phone every few minutes, pretending you're detached but feeling the knot in your stomach tighten. Hours pass. Silence. That silence isn't random. It's resonance. Your words say, I trust, but your energy whispers, I'm desperate. The mirror reflects the whisper, not the words. The absence isn't punishment. It's feedback. It's showing you what frequency is actually being broadcast. And here's the twist. When you finally stop checking, stop needing, when you surrender into the moment and breathe, something subtle shifts. Your energy clears, the signal stops flickering, and suddenly, the text arrives. Not because you earned it, but because you stopped scrambling your transmission. This is why trying harder can sometimes make things worse. When you approach creation as a performance, you amplify resistance. You confirm separation. You tell the mirror, I'm not it yet. And so it keeps showing you that reflection. The language of light doesn't respond to repetition, it responds to recognition. To embody the code, you don't force emotion, you become alignment. You remember that the reflection is secondary, a byproduct of your internal coherence. That's the myth we're breaking. You don't manifest through control, you manifest through clarity, through tuning, through stillness so precise that the mirror has no choice but to echo your essence. Once you see that, manifestation stops being this distant chase and becomes a direct conversation. You send a pulse. Reality replies. But there's one hidden gatekeeper between you and that fluent dialogue. A biological filter that decides whether your signal can even reach the field clearly. Most people overlook it entirely, yet it's the key to every coherent manifestation. And that gatekeeper lives right inside your skin. Your nervous system is the switchboard of your signal. It's the translator between consciousness and the quantum field. No matter how elevated your thoughts or clear your intentions are, if your body doesn't feel safe, your signal gets scrambled. Safety isn't optional, it's the gateway. Think of your body as the stabilizer of the mirror. When you're regulated, breathing smoothly, grounded, open, the mirror's surface is calm, able to reflect your essence with precision. But when you're anxious, rushing, or bracing for rejection, it's like ripples distorting the reflection. The message gets lost in the waves. Here's the truth few talk about. Your frequency is not set by your affirmations. It's set by the felt sense of safety in your system. If your body thinks life is dangerous, no amount of mental positivity can override that. The nervous system always wins. Let's feel that difference for a moment. Right now, place one hand over your heart and one over your lower belly. Slow your breath. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts. Exhale for 6. Again. Let your shoulders drop. Feel the weight of your body against the chair, the ground, the moment. You're not fixing anything. You're letting your system know it's allowed to exist. Notice how your energy softens. That shift, that's coherence beginning to form. Your heart and brain start syncing, producing rhythmic waves that the field can actually read. In that state, your thoughts become carriers, not static. Safety creates access. When your body trusts the moment, your frequency becomes steady enough for the mirror to respond. That's why some of your best manifestations happen when you weren't trying, when you were relaxed, open, distracted by joy. Your nervous system was aligned, so the signal moved freely. This is also why chaos repeats until calm is embodied. The universe isn't withholding, it's mirroring your internal charge. Regulate the charge, and the external reflection reorganizes naturally. So before you visualize, script, or speak, regulate. Coherence before creation. Breath before broadcast. That's how you stop begging the mirror and start conversing with it. Because when your body is stable, your signal becomes undeniable, and reality can finally echo back the version of you it's been waiting to reflect. But coherence alone isn't enough. There's a deeper layer, a shift that transforms temporary alignment into lasting embodiment. It's the difference between having a good day and becoming a new frequency entirely. And that difference lives in one place: identity. Most people try to manifest from a state, a temporary feeling they visit like a hotel. They meditate, visualize, feel the vibration for a few minutes, then slip back into the old self who doubts, checks, hopes. But the field doesn't respond to visits. It responds to residence. A state is fleeting. Identity is frequency. Think of it like music. You can hum a note for a moment, but unless you become the instrument tuned to that note, the sound fades. Manifestation is not about hitting the vibration once. It's about embodying the version of you who naturally sustains it. That's where most people get stuck. They chase high vibes instead of transforming self-image. They try to feel abundant, while secretly identifying as the one who's waiting for abundance. The mirror has no choice but to reflect that waiting. The shift happens the moment you stop asking, "How do I get there?" and start realizing, "Who would I be if I were already there?" Not in fantasy, in physiology. How would you breathe, walk, speak, make decisions? What would your nervous system feel like if safety and possibility were your baseline? When you begin living from that identity instead of reaching for it, your frequency stabilizes, your reflection solidifies. Life rearranges not as reward, but as resonance. This is where the tuning fork metaphor deepens. When you hold a tuning fork to a piano, every string vibrating at that same frequency begins to hum. That's what identity does. It's a continuous signal that activates matching timelines. You no longer manifest, you resonate. It's why forcing doesn't work. The moment you strain, you confirm separation. You announce to the field, I am not it. But when you settle into the identity that already is, the mirror can't contradict you. It aligns. Identity isn't built by repetition. It's remembered through coherence. You begin to live as the signal itself, not the seeker of it. And once you stabilize that new self, something extraordinary happens. Timelines start collapsing. The field reorganizes around your new broadcast faster than logic can explain. What used to take months happens in days. What seemed far away becomes immediate, because identity doesn't move through time. It selects it. And in the next layer, we'll decode how this shift of identity doesn't just change who you are, it changes which reality answers you back. Every identity carries its own timeline, a sequence of probabilities orbiting around who you believe yourself to be. You don't move through time like a passenger on a train. You tune into the track that matches your frequency. Each identity is its own station, broadcasting a distinct signal. Change the station, and the landscape outside the window transforms. Here's the stunning part. You've already lived every possible timeline and potential. Infinite versions of you exist in the field right now, confident, loved, thriving, healed, expansive. The version you experience is simply the one your current signal allows. The universe isn't withholding any of them. It's mirroring the frequency you've stabilized in your nervous system and self-concept. Let's make this tangible. Imagine you've been under financial pressure. Bills piling, tension rising, and every payment feels like a test of worth. In that identity, the one who's trying to survive, the mirror reflects scarcity. You look around, and reality seems to confirm it at every turn. But the moment you shift identity, not pretending, but truly anchoring into the energy of the one who's supported, resourceful, and expanding, the signal changes. Suddenly, ideas appear. Opportunities cross your path. Someone reaches out with an offer. The outer reflection syncs to the new frequency because you've tuned to a different station of yourself. Timelines aren't about waiting. They're about matching. Every emotion, belief, and micro-decision is a coordinate. When your emotional GPS points to lack, that's the version of reality you navigate. But when your identity rests in abundance, in trust, you jump tracks seamlessly. This is what people call quantum leaps, not miracles, not shortcuts. Just resonance shifts so complete that the old timeline dissolves behind you. But the field doesn't just respond to clarity, it tests consistency. You can tune to a new identity for a day and still slip back when pressure hits. That's why the practice isn't about thinking differently. It's about rehearsing the new frequency until your body treats it as home. Because timelines don't change when you wish. They change when your system stops arguing with the signal you've chosen. So how do you rehearse that? How do you train your nervous system to hold the new identity long enough for the mirror to catch up? There's an art to it. A toolkit designed not for theory, but for embodiment. And when you start practicing it daily, your new frequency stops being an idea and becomes the most natural thing in the world. Let's get practical. Identity isn't installed through thought. It's rehearsed through frequency. You're teaching your body to remember what it already knows: safety, worthiness, possibility. The more familiar those signals become, the faster reality starts matching them. There are 4 tools I use to stabilize that rehearsal: bridge statements, somatic anchors, frequency immersion, and micro-alignment drills. Each one trains a different layer of your system to speak the same language as the field. Bridge statements are transitions between your current identity and your chosen one. Instead of forcing "I am wealthy," which your nervous system might reject, you soften it. "I'm beginning to feel safer being supported. More and more, abundance feels natural to me." These statements bridge belief gaps without triggering internal resistance. You're teaching your mirror a new syntax: gentle, believable, continuous. Somatic anchors are physical cues that ground the frequency in your body. Maybe it's pressing 2 fingers together every time you feel gratitude, or exhaling through your heart when something good happens. Over time, those gestures become shortcuts into coherence. You no longer have to think your way into alignment. Your body does it automatically. Frequency immersion means saturating your environment with reminders of the new identity. Music, scents, visuals, posture, the way you dress. Every sensory cue becomes a tuning device. When your environment vibrates at your chosen frequency, your system entrains to it effortlessly. You become the signal surrounded by its own reflection. And then there are micro-alignment drills, tiny daily moments of conscious correction. When you notice contraction or self-doubt, pause, breathe, ask, what identity am I rehearsing right now? Then shift physically into the one you choose. Lift your shoulders, expand your breath, soften your jaw. You're not faking confidence. You're remembering coherence. The magic of these tools isn't in complexity, it's in consistency. Every repetition writes a new pattern into your nervous system. Your old signal weakens, your new one stabilizes. That's how quantum shifts become embodied truth. And here's a question I love to ask the people who practice this with me. A question that always brings breakthroughs. Have you noticed that the moment you stopped gripping, what you wanted finally showed up? Tell me your story in the comments. It might unlock someone else's leap. But even with the tools in place, there are forces that can pull you out of coherence. Hidden traps that create split signals, urgency, and control. Most people mistake them for obstacles, but they're actually invitations. Let's decode those next, and learn how to turn every interference into fuel for your frequency. Every time your signal starts to stabilize, 3 subtle forces try to pull it apart. Urgency, split intention, and control. They sneak in dressed as responsibility, discipline, or focus, but underneath, they're fear in disguise. If you can recognize and transmute them, you turn every disruption into alignment fuel. Urgency is the first distortion. It tells you, if this doesn't happen soon, something's wrong. That pressure hijacks your nervous system, floods you with cortisol, and scrambles your frequency. Urgency is the vibration of lack, the belief that the moment isn't enough. The antidote isn't passivity, it's presence. When you feel urgency rising, pause and return to breath. Inhale through your nose, slow and deep. Let your body remember that nothing real can be rushed. Reality organizes in resonance, not in panic. Split signals are trickier. They happen when one part of you wants expansion while another part secretly fears it. You affirm abundance, but an old identity whispers, if you succeed, you'll lose connection or safety. The mirror reflects both at once, giving you half results, mixed signs, or delays. The solution is compassion. Bring both sides to the table. Say aloud, it's safe to grow and stay connected. It's safe to expand and be seen. Integration is how coherence is restored. Then comes over-control, the most deceptive one. Control feels productive. It makes you believe you're shaping reality through action. But what it really does is signal distrust in the field. When you micromanage outcomes, you shrink the bandwidth of what's possible. The mirror can only show what your grip allows. Transmuting control requires trust in sequence. The timeline knows how to unfold when your signal is steady. Letting go doesn't mean doing nothing. It means acting from alignment rather than anxiety. The difference is energetic precision. One builds resonance, the other builds noise. So when urgency, fear, or control appear, don't fight them. Recognize them as indicators that your system is recalibrating. Pause, breathe, anchor, rehearse the signal of safety again. Because the field doesn't punish distortion, it simply mirrors it. Once you clear the interference, coherence naturally returns. The art of mastery isn't avoiding distortion. It's knowing how to tune back faster each time. Every moment of wobble is another opportunity to refine your language of light. And when you begin living that way, responding to feedback instead of reacting to fear, coherence stops being something you visit. It becomes your baseline, infused into every breath, every conversation, every simple action of daily life. And that's where the real embodiment begins, in the moments that seem too ordinary to matter. But secretly, they're everything. Here's where the theory becomes truth. When coherence isn't just what you feel during meditation, but what moves through you while washing dishes, answering emails, or walking down a busy street. Manifestation isn't an event. It's a lifestyle of signal hygiene. Every ordinary act becomes a transmission point. Think of it this way. Your energy doesn't turn off when life gets mundane. The mirror never stops reflecting. So the real mastery isn't found in rituals, it's found in rhythm. In how you breathe during a difficult conversation, how you sit in silence after sending a risky message, how you react when plans change unexpectedly. Those tiny, invisible choices define your broadcast. Let's make it practical. When you eat, slow down. Let every bite be a message to your system. I'm safe. I receive nourishment easily. When you walk, feel your feet grounding the signal into the earth. When you scroll, notice what contracts or expands your field. That's feedback from the mirror. Adjust your attention, not through judgment, but through tuning. Coherence isn't fragile. It's flexible. It doesn't mean you never wobble. It means you recover faster. You catch yourself mid-reaction and breathe coherence back into the moment. Every return strengthens your frequency, just like tuning an instrument by ear gets easier the more you listen. Even conversations become mirrors. If someone triggers you, that's the field testing resonance. Can you stay open, rooted, still? Can you keep your heart coherent while your ego wants to defend? Those are the initiations that anchor new timelines. Integration is embodiment disguised as daily life. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful, because reality listens most closely when you're not performing. And then something quiet but profound happens. You start noticing how easily synchronicities unfold, parking spots appearing, people calling at the exact right moment, money showing up through unplanned channels. It doesn't feel like magic anymore. It feels like fluency, like the mirror finally speaking your language. But there's a deeper turn beyond personal manifestation, one that expands the same mechanics into everything: your relationships, creativity, health, even the purpose that pulls your life forward. Once coherence becomes your baseline, the field starts weaving your signal into larger patterns. And that's when the mirror doesn't just reflect you anymore, it reflects the entire design of creation moving through you. Once coherence becomes your natural state, the field stops responding to isolated desires and starts responding to your signature. Your signal expands beyond personal manifestation and begins influencing every domain it touches: relationships, creativity, health, and purpose. You're no longer shaping reality just for yourself. You're harmonizing with the larger pattern that creation itself is composing. Let's start with relationships. When your nervous system feels safe, connection deepens effortlessly. You stop broadcasting, "Will you validate me?" and begin emanating, "It's safe to be real here." People feel that. They don't always know why, but they relax around you. Communication smooths out. Misunderstandings dissolve faster because your frequency isn't tangled in defense, it's anchored in openness. Then comes creativity. When coherence is embodied, inspiration flows as if reality is brainstorming with you. You stop chasing ideas and start channeling them. That song lyric, that business concept, that intuitive nudge, they arise from the same intelligence that forms galaxies. Creativity isn't a performance anymore. It's resonance in motion. Now let's bring it into health. Your body is the first mirror, always translating energy into biology. Coherence reduces stress hormones, balances heart rhythm, and restores the natural rhythm your cells recognize as harmony. Healing becomes less about fixing and more about remembering equilibrium. The body stops fighting itself when your energy stops contradicting itself. And then, purpose. True purpose isn't something you invent. It's the natural extension of your frequency into form. When you live coherently, opportunities that match your essence start magnetizing toward you. You don't chase meaning, you express it. You become the station through which life broadcasts more of itself. To see this in motion, imagine a third scenario. You've been facing a creative block. Maybe you're an artist, writer, or entrepreneur. The harder you push, the emptier it feels. But one morning, you decide not to fight it. You step outside, breathe, feel the light on your skin. For a moment, your mind goes quiet, and a concept drops in, whole, alive, ready. That's not coincidence. That's coherence creating a bridge between timelines. This is what happens when you live as frequency rather than effort. Your signal weaves into the field's intelligence, guiding not just your path, but the paths of others you touch. But beyond all that expansion lies a deeper truth, one that turns every manifestation into communion. A realization that what you've been speaking to in the mirror was never separate from you at all. When you finally start to see the mirror for what it is, a deeper paradox unfolds. The observer and the observed were never two. The universe hasn't been responding to you. It's been responding as you. Every pulse of synchronicity, every delay, every surge of intuition has been your own consciousness looping through infinity, to remind itself that it is the source. This is where manifestation dissolves into participation. You realize you're not standing outside creation, trying to bend it. You are creation, moment by moment, remembering its own design through the vibration you hold. The light codex, that hidden language of reality, is the dialogue between your individual awareness and the infinite intelligence it comes from. Think of it like standing at the center of a vast ocean of light. Every thought creates a ripple, but the ocean itself is also thinking through you. When you surrender the illusion of control, you don't disappear. You expand. You become the current instead of the swimmer. Surrender is often mistaken for weakness, but in the quantum field, surrender is power in its purest form. It's the point where your nervous system relaxes so completely that the universal current can flow through unobstructed. The field doesn't need you to push, it needs you to align. That's where miracles, or what we call impossible shifts, occur. The existential leap here is realizing that your desires are not random. They're encrypted coordinates in the light code, designed to guide your evolution. The universe plants them in you as invitations to expand, not as things to chase. When you follow them from coherence, they lead you deeper into unity, not just success. So manifestation becomes devotion, a living meditation where every breath says, "I trust the intelligence that breathes me." You begin to sense the perfection in what didn't work out, the purpose in the pauses, the sacred timing behind every no. The mirror stops being an obstacle and becomes revelation. And the deeper you embody that awareness, the more you feel the truth humming beneath everything. It was never you versus life. It was always life learning itself through you. And from that space, that still, luminous knowing, there's only one step left to anchor it completely. To live as the mirror itself, luminous, aware, and sovereign. Because once you remember the light you're made of, reality doesn't just respond, it becomes you. So here's the revelation the mirror has been trying to show you all along. Reality isn't something you fix, attract, or decode from the outside. It's a living feedback system of light, shaped by the vibration of your being. Every emotion, every breath, every quiet decision is a brushstroke painting your personal universe in real time. Once you grasp that, the game ends, and something truer begins. You stop trying to speak the language of creation and realize you've been speaking it your whole life. The only difference now is awareness. You can feel the code moving through you, in the timing of things, in the people who appear, in the silence that teaches you just as much as the signs. Imagine standing before the infinite mirror, not as the one waiting for reflection, but as the reflection itself, awake. The light bounces back and forth endlessly, no longer distinguishing between sender and receiver. You smile, and the universe smiles through you. You exhale, and the stars rearrange their rhythm to match your breath. This isn't fantasy, it's recognition. The light codex isn't a secret language hidden in the cosmos, it's the syntax of your state. And when that state is coherent, when your heart, mind, and body vibrate in unison, creation itself bends toward you in response. You don't need to chase alignment anymore. You are the alignment. You don't need to control the timeline. You are the timeline. The mirror doesn't test you, it translates you. And now, the next chapter isn't about effort, it's about embodiment. Living your signal, every day, with reverence for how instantly life echoes your truth. Have you noticed how when you finally stop trying to prove yourself, life starts proving for you? Tell me your story in the comments. It might be the reflection someone else is waiting to see.